Hi, I'm Mindy. Welcome back to my channel. I'm doing my last wrap-up for the month of November, and this one is going to be for the Nostalgic November Readathon and Evil-a-Thon. And Nostalgic November Readathon was hosted by Kelsey from Slime and Slashers, and Evil-a-Thon was hosted by Kasha's Book Cemetery. I did not finish all the books I was hoping to, but I added an extra one in that I didn't know about when I made my TBR, and I kind of shuffled things around, and I almost completed every prompt. I think there's only one that I didn't. So I'm going to start with Nostalgic November. The prompt I didn't finish was a book about books because I didn't have time to finish that book. But the first prompt was old tech in the story or on the cover. I didn't read my tech book, but just so happens that The Toy Thief by D.W. Gillespie had a small part in it with a VHS with two girls making a home video of, I don't know, whatever, I can't remember, a show or something. I've definitely done a couple of those in my day, so very nostalgic. And yeah, the VHS tape was my old tech. For female author, I read Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey, which is a haunted house book about a woman who had a hard childhood and comes back to her childhood home when her mother is dying and some weird things are happening. For the Witches or Magical Elements book, I don't really have a whole lot to that, but there is this really creepy story in I Am Legend by Richard Matheson called Prey, about a killer doll that is, I'm guessing, mobilized through some dark magic of some kind. Then there was a prompt to mood read from before the 2000s. I read Silence of the Lambs by Thomas Harris, second book in the Hannibal Lecter series. And also I Am Legend and Other Stories by Richard Matheson, both well before the 2000s. Then for the prompt dolls and toys, it's The Toy Thief. There's dolls and toys on the cover. There was a monster toy thief, and this was a great story. It's coming of age story with a creepy monster, and it was very, very emotional and sad as well. About a young girl whose mother died giving birth to her, and her family is kind of a wreck after that. Her brother is doing things that he shouldn't be doing, going down the wrong path, and then there's this whole weird mystery with missing toys. Really love this book. And then Coming of Age is the last prompt for the Nostalgic November. I would say that The Toy Thief is definitely coming of age, as well as this, The Smash Man of Dread End by J.W. Ocker. This is a middle grade horror book, which was definitely coming of age as well. Now for the Evil-a-Thon. The first prompt is Silence of the Lambs. Read a book about a killer. And I just read The Silence of the Lambs, which the prompt was named after. Very fitting. So this is a classic story. A lot of people know what this is about. It has a great movie that goes with it. I thought it was very well paced. It was definitely thrilling, and it was pretty horrifying for a thriller book. So horror thriller line there. Definitely about a killer who is kidnapping or abducting and killing women. And there is a young FBI trainee who is trying to figure out the case by interviewing Hannibal Lecter to see if he has insights to help them catch the killer. Really love this story, but I wish they could have changed it slightly so that I don't know, is that a spoiler? So that it wouldn't be such bad representation for the trans community. It does, specifically say that the character is not trans. And has a character that works at a hospital that works with trans people, saying that this is not how trans people are. Trans people are just regular people trying to live their life. They're not dangerous or, violent. But, I was glad that part, that message was woven in there that, trans people are not dangerous and whatever. I can't remember the movie if it had that in it or not. Like, it's been a long time since I watched that movie. But I know that back then, when the movie was made, there was not very much trans representation in movies. So that was like the one thing that people saw, and that's not good representation. But that's my 2 cents. I thought, as far as I remember, the book handled it a little bit better. Anyway, it was really a thrilling read, though. Like it a lot. For Event Horizon, a sci-fi horror, I read I Am Legend by Richard Matheson. Some of the stories. I had already read I Am Legend and a few others last year, so I was just finishing up the stories. I would say that the stories were pretty much horror. The sci-fi parts were pretty, like, I Am Legend has some science in it, but with the disease that everybody's getting and whatnot, but the rest were pretty horror focused. But there were some gems in here, including that creepy doll one. I think that's my favorite. Like, gotta love a good creepy doll. But yeah, there were some good ones. For Blair Witch Project, read a book about a legend. I read an anthology called Cryptid Carnage, which was released by Splatter Inc. Publishing, which is headed by Nicholas Gray, who has a booktube channel, Spooky Noodles. And I thought this anthology was so much fun. I really, really liked every single story. I thought they were really good, fast-paced, thrilling, lots of mayhem, and carnage. Lives up to the name of all of our favorite cryptid creatures, which is wonderful. I really liked the anthology. There was one story that I didn't really fit. It did fit in the theme of Cryptid Carnage, So there was killing and there was a cryptid, but it didn't fit the, what is it, mood, maybe? Anyways, there was one that was like a absurdist or comedic horror, and it just kind of stood out as a little weird, but doesn't mean it was a bad story. I did like every story, so that one just kind of stuck out like a sore thumb a little bit, like, what are you doing there? But anyway, I really liked it, and it did fit with the theme of cryptids and killing, so it was good times all around. For The Sixth Sense Ghosts, I put in Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey, which is a haunted house book. Very, very creepy. Like, there is a whole lot of just family drama in this book, and lots of secrets and lots of weird things going on in this house that are not explainable. So what I really liked about this book is that it was very surprising. There were all these surprises, these reveals, these realizations all throughout the story that really kept the story fresh and surprising. Oh my gosh, this was like perfectly paced to keep you hooked and need to know more, need to know what's going on, and you think you know, but you don't. I just loved it. I love this book. It was genius. For Ring, you were supposed to read a cursed book. So that could be a book that's been on a lot of TBRs that you've meant to read forever and just never get to it. For me, that was The Silence of the Lambs. It's been on several TBRs and I finally finished it. Yay me. Glad I did. This is one of those horror thriller classics that everybody says you should read, so now I did. Hooray. House on Haunted Hill prompt was to read a book with a group of people working or involved in the story. For that, it's going to be The Smash Man of Dread End by J.W. Ocker, which is about a girl that moves into a new neighborhood, and she and her little sister and all of the neighborhood kids get wrapped up into this creepy mystery that's going on in their basements. Ooh, this is a middle grade book that I can really get behind, and it was actually super creepy and weird, and some just really cool elements. Wow, when I saw what was going on in the basement, that's nightmare fuel, man. For Candyman, read a book with insects on the cover. Silence of the Lambs was for that too. There's a few little death head moths there. The creepiest of moths. Represent metamorphosis, I guess. And creepiness. Anyway, for Audition was read a book that's been recommended to you. That was also Silence of the Lambs, recommended by so many people. As well as I Am Legend and other stories. Definitely had this recommended to me several times. And then the last book prompt was I Know What You Did Last Summer. Read a book out of your comfort zone. For that, I am counting The Smash Man of Dread End, because middle grade is not usually my go-to. But this one was great. Really, really enjoyed. So those are the books I read for Nostalgic November and Evil-a-Thon, and now I've talked about all the books I read in November throughout the 3 videos for different events. I read a total of 9 books in November, and 6 of those are going towards my Read What You Own challenge, where I'm trying to read 100 books before I buy any books. These 2 I actually finished in December, but I'm still counting them. For my readathons, because otherwise I wouldn't have much to talk about for these readathons. But these 2 bring me up to 8 books finished for my Read What You Own challenge. And that is how I'm doing with that. Love to know if you participated in any of these readathons or challenges and how you're doing or how you did. And I will be back very soon with another book-related video. Thanks.